to the Influence Factory podcast. This program is dedicated to support professionals who have a desire to develop their digital business influence so they can navigate through a fast-paced, constantly growing digital world. We invite newcomers as well as our family of business influencers to a place to play, share ideas, questions, tips, and guidance with other thought leaders around the globe. Sit back and enjoy our program with our host Dean Delisle as he interviews guests. News and commentary is provided by Kate Hassett and Jackson Delisle. Power Move lessons are provided by the Influencer Marketing Department at Social Jack. And production, editing, and distribution is provided by the Social Jack production team.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode, actually episode 49 of the Influence Factory. I want to welcome everybody on. We got a great guest today talking about strengthening your influence. We'll bring them up here in a few minutes. And remember, we bring you the latest industry news, lessons, and we always hear from industry experts from all over the world. Right, Kate? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Keeping track of the social interwebs out there?
I am. I am in the Facebook group right now. Shout out to everybody who's logged in, watching this live. We got Ben Quigley on the line, a couple of them. So thanks for being here. We appreciate you. You can also check us out on Twitter. We'll be live tweeting Darin Steen's interview at Get Social Jack using the hashtag Influence Factory. And of course, follow us on social at Social Jack.
Yeah, right on. And Jackson's in the newsroom there. Jackson, that newsroom looks pretty official.
Yeah, it's very official.
A lot of news swirling around.
Yeah.
All right. So just a couple of quick updates for those of you that are part of our community, which are all part of our community. So welcome. Next Tuesday, February 19th at 11 a.m. Central, we have How to Convert LinkedIn Connections to Clients, 5 Steps to Monetize Your Network. I also want to give a shout out and welcome to all the students that are currently in our Business Influencer Development class. We'll be finishing up that class next week, but they'll be with for 90 days and then officially graduating as business influencers, right, Kate? And then we'll be able to see their influence in action as they evolve and develop. Super cool stuff. So you guys have some exciting news to talk about today. It's about LinkedIn is actually launching what we predicted 2 weeks ago already. They must have heard us.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Jack.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, this it's super cool because LinkedIn is now doing LinkedIn Live, which is their new live streaming service that they are launching and rolling out right now, but they're rolling it out on a invite-only basis, so they have to ask you to join. So it's in a very early stage, just testing. They want to test with a small group to see how it goes, and judging by how their native video content has been taking off over the past year. I believe they launched it in back in August 2017.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So so that's been like the number one way to get the most engagement on LinkedIn is posting native videos. So now that they're moving to live video, this is very cool, and I can't wait to see what else that brings to the table. Kate, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, it's just interesting because I think we've all been talking about it coming around, and LinkedIn's not necessarily known for being the most innovative social media platform. So I'm kind of surprised that we got this before we got, LinkedIn events. But anybody who follows me on LinkedIn knows that I'm active with LinkedIn Local, which is a worldwide networking event in each city where you can meet your LinkedIn connections. So I know a lot of groups like LinkedIn Local were really pushing for this, and I'm just really excited to see how it transforms video on LinkedIn. I mean, we know that people are making really valuable video. That's how they're gaining their influence and their following and getting business. And I'm seeing people post on LinkedIn like, oh, I can't wait till I get the feature because I'm going to do an Ask Me Anything. So if you're kind of thinking of ways to do a live video, obviously there's going to be events like we do where you can stream them, conferences, things like that that are really appealing towards your organization. But just personal branding standpoint, if you're a business influencer who's an expert in your field, that's a great way to go live and answer people's questions. Hey, like, I normally charge X amount of dollars for a consultation like this where I answer any question you have, but here, I'm going to do it live right now for free. Let people know you're doing it so they can tune in ahead of time and let them ask you whatever. I mean, that's great for business. That's great for personal brand. Great way to be one of the trailblazers on this feature.
You know, and I have a great pro tip on this too, Kate, is because they're not rolling it out to everybody just yet. And some people haven't even ventured into just even doing a video, just, as it on its own. But before you go live on LinkedIn, use Facebook Live. Like right now we're streaming on Facebook Live, we're streaming on Zoom on multiple channels. And in the Social Jack Resource Center, we actually have how to do a Facebook Live, like in 3 easy steps, and it walks you through. And the process is going to be the same for LinkedIn. Just remember your audience is a little bit different. So be sensitive to that audience being a business professional audience. And Kate, that was biggest fear because, we always see the faux pas on, on social media is like, how many people are just going to abuse this so bad and make so many brand, we talked about the 5 mistakes for your personal brand. I think this is going to go to number 1 faster than we know, but I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can see that happening.
I wanted to add real quick, just that they are partnering with third-party live streaming developers. So this is going to allow for users to create more polished live videos. So they're partnering with a few different ones, and they said there's more to be announced in the future. But as of right now, they're partnering with Wirecast, Switcher Studio, Wowza Media Systems, Social Live, and Brand Live. So this is going to be super cool because like the way that Zoom partners with Facebook Live so you can stream there, it's going to be super cool that people will be able to stream to multiple locations and open that up to LinkedIn now after it being closed off for so many years.
Yeah, and this is just the beginning, folks. We talked about a couple weeks ago. I was out at a summit in San Diego last week, and just supporting all this evidence that this live television broadcasting, this is we haven't even seen the tipping point on this yet. This is be the whole year that people are experimenting and testing with their brands. But you want to make sure, again, that you do it the right way and you're just careful about, getting there in the first part, but we don't want you to be scared that you don't do it. So make sure you use that Social Jack Resource Center and really plot things out a little bit before you start doing this on the business side. But playing Facebook Live is, or I would say, and then Kate, have you guys used like Instagram has live, doesn't it? So it's the same.
I've used it before. It's pretty much the same.
Yeah, and then
as of right now, between the two of them, Facebook seems to be the best, but that's normally what we see.
Yeah, cool beans. All right, so real quick, guys, I have thank you for that. I have a Social Jack Power Move that I'm sure you two can support, as well as a lot of people on. I see a lot of our folks out there that have attended our classes, but we have Darin Steen coming up here in a couple of minutes, and just like with any fitness trainer, whether you're doing something within your business or your personal life and you want to achieve your goals, you want to have a schedule and a process to it. And so everybody knows that we have 20 minutes a day. Kate's team does an amazing job with content mapping and content calendars and really giving our clients a process and a recipe of which to follow so they can achieve a certain outcome with their social network. While the same thing holds true with social teaming, with building your team, scouting and drafting, as well as engaging with your network and booking appointments and generating referrals. So, as we say, if you do your 20 minutes a day, you're going to generate a referral, a qualified referral every 5 minutes of activity. So just think about that process. You're not just scrolling and numbing. Kate, you had an amazing post that talked about, don't like this post, stop being a likeaholic, I think I chimed in with. Mm-hmm. And so the idea was, don't just like it, but participate in a conversation, slow down, be in a conversation with somebody on social media within your network. You're going to be as a thought leader and you're going to take your brand to the next level. Anything to add on that, Kate?
Yeah, no, I think that was spot on. And I think we always bring it back to, the thing you teach that you've taught me too is that social media is a networking event, right? So if you're just liking things on social, it's like you're that person that's just reaching out with their business card and walking away. But engaging in the conversations is really, it's going to help you bring business. So yeah, don't be like a holic. I love it.
Right on, right on. All right. Today's guest, we're excited, is one of our influencers. Kate and Jackson are coaches to this young man. He's the owner of Transformation Station, where he trains individuals in privacy through a 12-week body lifestyle transformation program. He's currently transitioning his network for a corporate wellness program. He's trained people like, Dr. Mercola, which a lot of people know. He trains top CEOs and management teams to really become healthier and more fit and more productive as an organization. Please welcome the winner of Arnold Schwarzenegger's America's Great Next Trainer, my good friend Darin Steen, and a client of ours. Down, Darin.
What's going on, Dino?
Way to go, man. And there you are live at the Transformation Station. I'm just going to say that I see Jimmy Z and Ben Quigley and a few of your pals out in the audience here. So if you want to give a shout out to your fans, they are definitely logging into this live here during the session.
Dino, thanks for that nice introduction. I appreciate it. You always make me look better than I truly am. But yeah, Ben Quigley, what's going on? Jimmy Z's been doing this for years, giving me good advice over the years. And, to be honest with you, for me, I get a little turned off when I see people talking about their fans. I say they're my friends for sure, because I'm definitely no better than anybody so I appreciate the friends that have supported me over the years. We all need more friends.
Yeah, just a couple of fun facts. So we know that you love to do magic tricks. We might even get one here in a minute. You've been raising your two daughters. I'm so proud of you, with no mother in their life for the past 7 years. So congrats. We hear about single moms, but single dads, you're building a business, you're rocking it out there. So kudos to you for making that happen. And then, you've been very competitive over the years, baseball, basketball, football, competitive competitions. You really tout yourself as drug-free bodybuilder since the age of, 10 for 43 years. And then I didn't realize this because I got locked in a room with you a few weeks ago, and you love to sing and serenade men and women alike. So I'm upset that I didn't get that song when we got locked in the back room. So.
Well, when's your birthday? Do you know? That's
September 24th.
That's a little social media trick. It tells us when their birthdays are. So how it started was this transformation station here. I promoted as the most positive place on the face of the earth. I don't let people hold on to any negative thought or phrase. We stop and we rephrase it and say, what in the past it was that way, going forward it's going to be this way. So I play that game with every client of mine. And then one of my clients stopped me when I said I can't sing worth a lick. And they're like, what are you saying? So they caught me, and it was like, it sort of
hold on. I want Kate in the background to be listening to this. So go ahead, continue.
So they caught me, and I was like, wow, okay. What I meant to say was I could sing better if I wanted to. So what I did that week was I just watched a YouTube video on how to sing better. And then I got the idea to sing. I like Frank Sinatra. My mom named me after Bob Darin, Mac the Knife, real swanky Frank Sinatra type voice. So all I did was about 5 times a day, I would reach out to people on Facebook and I'd give them an audio and I sing happy birthday to them like Frank Sinatra would with a little twang in it. Yeah. And all I did was I sang softer and I didn't rush it. And I took my time and I did a little, Frank Sinatra swing to it, and they really liked it. And I started to sound pretty good. And like within 2 weeks, people started saying, you sound really good. And I'm like, wow, I can sing good. and I just continued on, I just continued on. I actually do it not only on Facebook now, but anytime I find out it's someone's birthday, because I'm so in my power zone when I do it, I'll drop down on a knee. I'll hold a lady's hand. I've done it for guys. And I had a few guys get seriously emotional, like, wow, no one's ever saying to me, thank you so much. And so I realized it was an easy way to get people to connect,
Yeah, no, that's super cool. I'd like to dig in a little bit to your story too, because, I've known you for at least 10 years or so, right? So a shout out to Custis out there who I think introduced us, and we've now had this whole collective network of people that have come together thanks to him. So blessings out to him. You came from blue collar roots, right? Family. And so maybe take us a little bit through that journey, because you haven't, and then all of a sudden you get to meet Tony Robbins and you get him to take your business card and then to the next level with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Take us a little bit through that sort of journey of your life, how you got to this moment.
Cool. I love the Tony Robbins story. I didn't get him to take my business card. I didn't even say anything about it. I planned for 6 weeks, and he asked me for my business card in a
right.
1 minute photo op. So I never even pulled my card out. He asked me to pull it out. So anyway, so I was raised by a blue collar father, Darin Steen. He was an electrician for 50 years. I was a blue collar man myself until 2000, August 1st. I had 19 years in with UPS as a truck driver. And, no offense to blue collar workers, I was one, but your thinking is very different than an entrepreneur. So that leads me to August of 2000 for a couple years when UPS went on strike in 1998. I couldn't sit and be still for about 6 weeks. So I ran an ad in the local Kankakee Daily Journal and said, Darin Steen's taking personal training clients. So I got my first professional training client a couple years before I quit full time to go personal training. And I found out that I was really good at it. I found out that it felt amazing to help other people. I kept things simple, and I got the bug right there. So August 2000, I said, you know what? I walked away. I said, I'm never coming back. I took Tony Robbins' advice, and I said, I'm burning my boats. I'm never coming back, because I knew if this a plan B, that I would not drive plan A so hard. And plan A, as a full-time personal trainer, 100% commission with no benefits, no security, walking away from all the benefits and security of the Teamsters Union and only 10 years away from retirement, I knew that if there was a plan B, I wasn't going to make it most likely. So
right.
that was August 1st, 2000, and I hit the ground running. And I was, within 6 months, the number one income earning trainer in the world for the fastest growing fitness company in the world at the time, Lifetime Fitness. There was about 50 to 60 facilities, 10 to 15 trainers per facility. So out about 1,600, 2,000 trainers, and it blew my mind. People ask me as I look back, they say, why were you so successful? Very easy. I had no plan. I was scared to death. I had to make $60,000 to $80,000 a year to pay my mortgage and feed my kids. So I had to be successful.
Yeah, that's interesting. So as you were making, sort of making those moves and making that shift, are there any people that were basically on your team or behind you at that time to make that shift and to help support you through those changes? That's a lot of changes to go through. Those are life events that you're talking about, complete switches.
Yeah, I wasn't far enough into my UPS career to have any benefits I had a 401k, but I had no pension. I was walking from that security. Tony Robbins CDs, number one, absolutely. I had to wake up at 4 a.m. I didn't have to do anything, but I chose to woke up at 4 a.m. so I could get to the club at 5 and start my day before the morning clientele came in. And so Tony Robbins CDs, driving up LaGrange in the dark, really very scared. I'd get some training from the personal training managers at Lifetime Fitness, but it was very easy to see very quickly that they didn't know how to train clients. They didn't know how to train themselves. All they did was put quotas on you and tell you how to sell in a consultation setting with the used car pressure sales. That did not feel right to me.
Isn't that interesting how many businesses take that mindset of like sales first and then taking care of the customers second, and it's interesting that so early that you felt that was off. And I think a lot of times in business, especially entrepreneurs, it's a scary journey for us as we wake up and think of, oh my gosh, it's payroll, or I have to make X number of sales, but I also have to build relationships. And it's a tough balance, as being business owners. So, it's interesting how you identified that something felt off during that part.
It was so obvious. I mean, from the first hour, I said, I'm not going to sell like that at all. And so I would say the Tony Robbins CDs is all I had in my ear. And the first client I got that was a business guy, as we alluded to him earlier, was Brian Cousins. He owned a company called ownacondo.com. And
They were rolling at that point. They were the big deal in town. So
they were crushing it, man. He was a risk taker. He put his name, ownacondo.com, on the wall of Comiskey Park. He loved to invest a lot of money. He loved to put himself on the line. And he said, Darin, you're an amazing trainer, the best trainer I've ever had, but you're a wage slave. And he said, what you need to do is you need to write a book, document your systems, and you need to create a book and need to sell it so you can get other avenues of income coming in versus being a slave. And he was very, very, very different and peculiar. He looked like he didn't have a job because he was at noon, he's wearing a bandana with scrubby clothes on, walking around. My first lesson was that I was going up to, I'm thinking about trying to get a client. I'm making no money at all. And so you look at the guy with the watch who drives up with the car, and you go to those guys and girls first because you think, hey, that's the person that can afford it. And I just happened upon to have a conversation with this guy. He looks like Jeff Spicoli off of Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
He does too, and he still was sporting a mullet. Right?
Brian Cousins, I love you, man. And we are still friends, great friends. And so I was talking to this by chance. My manager pushed him over to me, and I had a conversation with him. And like within an hour, he flips out $4,000 cash and says, I'll train 12 weeks. And I'm like, wow, okay. So that was lesson number one, don't judge a book by its cover. If you're a fitness trainer and you're see a man working out that's not in a hurry around 10, 11, noon, he's either don't got a job or he's doing very well with his job. One of the two.
Right. And one thing I want to say, Kate and I were on a coaching session earlier today with one of our clients, and we talk about increasing our fees. And, and I've have my coach tell me about that, and business coaches and things like that. No, increase your fees. The things that you guys are doing are great, and they're worth more. People will pay for them. And so what's interesting about that is there's that scarcity mindset that says, well, I got to work, I got to earn my right to charge those fees. And what's interesting is when we start, get that first customer that's willing to pay, then that's that aha moment. So that had to be a big shock to you. I don't know what you were making, then at the time, but I know what it feels like to go from, I went from, bussing tables at $3 an hour to making $25K within 2 weeks. And that was like, what? This money is out there for me. Someone's willing to pay that for me. So, that feeling of just like, wow. I'm sure I'd love to hear from the listeners too, as they're typing in here, there are some things, but I'm sure everybody's had that moment where they're like, oh, I'm worth more.
That was my moment for sure. Lifetime Fitness took half. So it was a $2,000. I had to service that for 12 weeks, but no, I was actually very happy to pay Lifetime half because, they had 10,000 members there, put me in a fishbowl, and they were all looking at me. So, it was worth it. A losing mindset trainer would say, oh, I got to give half to Lifetime. But a winner would say, listen, this is a great opportunity to really be in front of a lot of people. And I don't want to pay their electricity bills. I don't want to pay their liability insurance. And I don't want to pay for this equipment. So it's a really big positive. And yeah, so it was $80 or $90 a session. I did not fathom that anybody would pay $70, $80 or $90 for a workout. At first, where I came from, an hour south of that, trainers were charging $15, $20, $25 a session. There was nobody looking at it as realistically as a career. So I knew I wanted to make it as a career. So I knew I was in the right place. And the other peculiar thing about Brian Cousins was he asked so many questions, and it seemed odd to me. But it took me 6 months to a year to realize that as an entrepreneur, you have to be fully informed before you make your next move. You ask a lot of questions so you can absolutely be sure that what you're doing, investing your time or investing your money, is a worthwhile investment.
Yeah, I think that's a big lesson for all of us that we don't always have the opportunity to think about, right? So then as you're progressing, take us a little farther down the road here.
So I did that for 4.5 years. It was a great situation. Lifetime Fitness awarded me the Trainer of the Year, gave me a trophy, gave me some recognition, and They did that 3 years in a row. The last year they stopped doing it because there was some people getting jealous and upset. Number one being the manager of the entire facility in Orland Park, Illinois. His name was Doug Hargis. So Doug Hargis got all pissy because the personal trainer was making more money than him. He had a negative mindset. He didn't say, well, Darin's making $100,000, $10,000 more than me. He should have said, Darin's making Lifetime Fitness $100,000 a year. That's what he should have said. But anyway, he went to the CEO of the company.
Well, hold on, because I think this happens to a lot of us. You know, we're all about helping people build their business influencer development, right? That's what Social Jack's about. And I think one of the things that we have to understand is that as we get a little farther up and we put ourselves out there, it's a vulnerable place, right? And you're still within the realm of Lifetime Fitness. This is before social media, right? This is before
2000, 2001, yes.
Yeah. So now all of a sudden, this is just within door to door, mouth to mouth, mouth to ear type thing.
Well, Dean, we had the walkie-talkies though. We had walkie-talkies.
Yeah, right. You had walkie-talkies. And then I just think, people need to understand, that's a risk, but the rewards are 10 times better on that side. So you're always going to have, the naysayers or the people that come out and I think it's more, jealous, it's closed mindset, like what you were talking about. I just want to make sure I acknowledge that, because a lot of people think about that. And that's one of the fears that we see in social media. It's the fear of getting attacked, fear of putting yourself out there, of being authentic, because now you're vulnerable and open and people might, attack that position.
Absolutely. So I can still remember the meeting that came out of that situation like it was yesterday. So they're announcing that, every year they had cut our percentage the trainers were getting, and then like once a year they'd say, well, you got to come in Saturday for a shift, you got to clean the equipment for free and you got to give people tours through. And I was willing to do that because I was living a dream. I was making more money at my passion, but when you're a wage slave, you'll get burned out. You can raise your rates, but if you go on vacation, you're worried about the customers not coming back. Right. And when you're making an hourly wage, you don't have different avenues of coming in. So in one meeting, they said, we're cutting your pay again by 20%. So I got my calculator out and I did the math, and I'm like, oh man, they just cut my pay by $25,000 a year in like one meeting. And I'm like, I felt this heat go through my body. And I said, okay, it's all been good up till now. The handwriting's on the wall. So I had a 6-month plan to get out of there and rent a space somewhere else. I told all my clients I so appreciated them supporting me, that I had to evolve, and I had outgrew Lifetime Fitness, and I told them where I was going to be, that if they want to come down and see me down there, that's where I'd be. And so I left and started the true world of entrepreneurialism and being in charge of my own destiny with overhead, so I was renting space. And then after that situation with a local business guy getting threatened because I got so popular so fast there, and in one day he calls me in his office. I won't say his name because I'm still
don't use names.
And he said, "Oh, by the way, you can't space here anymore." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Well, rumor got back to me that you're trying to open up your own facility." And I told him that on day one that was my plan.
Right.
The bottom line was he was getting scared and scared. He had a closed mindset. And so I lost a place to train my clients. And I had just bought a $500,000 home, which I shouldn't have done. But hey, I had a $500,000 home. I had the nice cars. And all of a sudden I had nowhere to train my clients. So I got, again, super uncomfortable. And I got depressed, anxiety, couldn't really get out of bed for 2 weeks. And then I got on with it. I got a hold of Custis. I said, hey, what could happen? I got a hold of a couple of local business guy. And, within 6 months, I had my own space that was my own space. And that was in 2006. And I've been having my own spaces ever since.
Yeah, I think that you hit on a key element there, and I think a lot of people are afraid to talk about it. And one of the big things that happen is when, none of us are, invincible, right? And none of us really, there's different levels of depression. There's different levels of of things that get a hold of us. We're human. You know what I mean? We're made we have core human needs, and there's things that just get us in a funk and things like that. And I think one of the things I want to highlight is that, you checked in with yourself and you realized that you were feeling this. And entrepreneurs and business folks feel this all the time, where people are just like slugging through things and it's just not worth doing what they're doing. And they just, they question themselves and their purpose and who they are. And a lot of times, those are the moments where we pivot, we make a change or a switch. And I really like how you went back to your, what we call your social team, but your core team that you could really tell things to and say things to and say, hey, listen, man, I'm scared. I'm feeling this way. I believe this is depression, and I need some help to talk this through. And I'm looking for ideas, and I'm open-minded, right, to take whatever you say. And I want to get out of this so bad, I'll do where you take me. And so I want to applaud you for doing that. And so then what shift, for the people that are listening, what are some of the shifts that you made to make that turn? Because I know those are pivotal times, right?
Ooh, it's tough, man. I mean, most entrepreneurs can relate. I'm a type red. I believe I have really big goals. I mean, you don't hook a corporate client like Dr. Joe Mercola, the number one natural guy in the world, online and get paid $80,000 a year for 3 years, not having big goals. And it doesn't haphazardly happen. And with that comes, big letdown when things don't work out. And at the beginning of this, we were talking about, how much money I've spent on joint ventures that failed and book deals that failed. I said 100,000, but it's probably between 100, close to 150. And then you just sort of smiled and said, well, yeah, I'm like around, $1 million. And so you have twice as many stories.
I stopped counting at $1 million.
Yeah. And that's real money. I mean, real money. I don't owe anybody any money today except my mom. I'm paying my mom back. She bailed me out of some of those with mom interest, which is great.
God bless mom.
That's like a whole nother session, Dino. What tools? Because I've been there 6, 7, 8 times, I would say. Entrepreneurialism, ADD, failed ventures, family issues with a divorce. And, I do know at my now as I look back and learning about my spine and the problems I have, physical problems with my spine because of my 14-year football career, I'm not discounting the fact of what they call that brain trauma that they have, where it just draws them down into a depression. So there's so many things that can draw us down. The fast paces of today's society and all the windows are open in our mind, like the computer, and never slowing down and sort of just calming down and getting away from the technology. We want to use the technology, but if we use it all the time, we'll go nuts, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I think I even disclosed to you that recently we uncovered that I had, a series of concussions from football, wrestling, and, martial arts. And then a lot of things, that were undocumented, those are just the things that were documented back in the 70s, right, and 80s. A lot of that stuff isn't where it is today. And so, I fully sympathize with, a lot of those folks that now today are, in the effects of it. And we don't know what causes that, the mood swings and everything else. So let's get back to really now you're making this turn. And so how did you get to the Arnold Schwarzenegger thing? So, many of us are trying to get to that Mercola. Well, let's break it down for a minute. So you get Mercola. How did you get to Dr. Mercola? I want to hear this story. I don't think I've ever heard this.
So to back up, right before the story, you said, I know the answer to the question you had before this is 4 or 5 business guys that saw the love and focus and attention that I was giving out when they hired trainers, other trainers at Lifetime Fitness. At 55 minutes, they were done and off to the next client. I was 65 minutes. I came early, I left late, and I looked them in the eye. They knew I loved what I did.
Customer
so
service.
When I was in trouble, I had 4 or 5 or 6 business people come to my side that would wake up in the middle of the night and help me if I was in a bad spot. That was really the key to push me through 6 or 7 dark times in my past.
Yeah, that's awesome. And we call that your social team. That's your 2 starting players at that moment. So
that's right. And so that's really funny that you said that, because you've been having me create my new social team since I'm a client of yours. I just realized those 5 or 6 guys from my past aren't on my new social team, and that's ridiculous. So one of them, Sloan's Landscaping, Glenn Sloan, local guy, real good friend of mine. He said, Darin, you're a cancer survivor, 1 kidney. You're amazing at what you do. And he says, you should be Dr. Mercola's trainer. I'm like, well, who's Dr. Mercola? I don't even know who that is. So he showed me the newsletter, and I didn't even come close that I could train a celebrity, the #1 natural doctor in the world online. But every time I trained Glenn, he would fill me up. He's like, you can do this. And after Tony Robbins, and I'd go on to Les Brown. So Les Brown, Jim Rohn, those old school guys, those are my go-to motivational guys. Listen to CDs. I canceled my TV subscription, no TV, no news, no newspaper. Like Tony Robbins says, if we're going to be in third world war, you're going to find out about it. You don't need to listen to the news. So Les Brown led me to say, you know what? You want to do something big? Mail the Mercola team, email them, mail them hard copy who you are, what you're doing, and why they need to work with you once a month. And it took 2 years. It really did. It took 2 years.
2 years.
2 years.
That's awesome, though.
And so I didn't believe that I could train Dr. Joe Mercola at first, but my client, Glenn, he built my belief up. And he said, do this, do what Les Brown did. So I just did it. I might have missed a month or two, but 2 years. And then finally an email, I got a phone call one day. It was one of those elevator pitch moments where you just know you got like 1 minute. And he said, hey, Darin Steen, Jim Larson, Vice President, Mercola.com. Been getting a few of your letters in the mail, and he laughed. True story. And he says, so you really think you're really that good? What do you have to offer? And I think it was something close to this. I'm one of the busiest trainers in the world, one-on-one trainers. I'm the #1 trainer at Lifetime Fitness for 5 years. I have tons of experiences, and I've created the most time-efficient workout system on the planet that's safe, and in 2 to 3 hours of activity per week, it can fight the obesity epidemic. And Dr. Mercola is good at natural eating, nutrition for longevity, but at gaining muscle and losing fat and being fit, he needs some help. So I need Dr. Mercola and the CEO to come down to my private studio, the Transformation Station, to experience a session with me. And I was quiet. I shut up. And about 5 seconds went by. It seemed like 2 minutes or 10 minutes. And I'm like, shit. But I did it. And it was something Les Brown taught me, or Tony Robbins said, be quiet, throw it out there, be bold. And then to my total amazement, he said, well, maybe next Wednesday noon or Friday at 3:30. And I'm like, wow.
What?
And so
Wait, the Dr. Mercola?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And his CEO, Steve Rye. Steve Rye is still his CEO to this day. They came down for 1 day. So what I did was the next day I canceled sessions in the afternoon. I got quiet. I had a plan. I thought about it. I did some deep breathing. I wrote down in a journal. Brian Custis in 2001 said, if you want to get your thoughts out of your head, you want to hit goals, you got to start a journal.
Yes,
and so you got to get things out of your head. I've written in a journal every day since 2002. When you look at someone like Brian Custis, who on the surface was making big money, the name of the company's on the wall at Comiskey Park, and he sends you to the Tony Robbins, gives you a CD kit, you do what he says. Right. When you hang around who you want to be like. So I'd write down in my journal that I'm going to give Mercola and his CEO, Steve Rye, the most incredible workout that they've ever had. I went to bed early that night. I woke up early. I got ready for them. I was ready. What's the old saying, Dino, that, huge things happen when preparation and opportunity meets.
That's right.
So I was ready for them. And I'm good at training people, but I was really good that day. I do this for anybody that comes in my studio, but when it's someone like Mercola or someone influence, I take it up a notch. And after that one session, I'm good at warming joints up. I'm good at some very unique things like super slow technique. You're aware of it, Dean, but I've invented quite a few techniques of what felt right to me. So I warmed their joints up. I showed them my unique technique, more time under tension, mind-muscle connection, the safety, time efficiency. And then after that, I'm not for sure how it went down, but I'm not for sure if they told me that day or a few days later, the vice president called me up and we started negotiating, me driving up an hour to their headquarters in Lombard, Illinois, and we inked the first deal.
Wow, that's awesome. Applause to you, man. If we had sound effects, we'd have those applause going. I can hear people cheering. Yeah.
Woo!
So then all of a sudden, I get this message from you, and you're like, I won the thing with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I'm like, what? I didn't even know you were doing the thing with. So how did you get it? How did you get it that? This
is a great story. I'll try to make it a 1 to 2 minute story. So.
Yep.
Another guy that's not on my freaking new team list, Brian Barry Landscaping. He's doing very large things. Most people in the area have heard of Barry Landscaping. He cuts the grass and plows the snow for every ComEd facility in the Illinois, from the north tip to the south tip. It's a big deal.
That's
only one of his 5 businesses. So I'm training him, a personal trainer. If your rates are medium to high, almost all your clients are successful business people. Pick the good ones and pick their brain. So I told Brian Barry, this building I'm in right now, the back 3,000 square foot unit is open. I can get it for about $2,500. I got a vision of doing group training and expanding. And we talked it out I'm like, should I do it, Brian? And he looked at me and he thought for a few minutes and he said, you know what? He said, you're the best one-on-one personal trainer I've ever had. He said, I think you're one of the best in the country. You're training Dr. Joe Mercola. You're in front of a lot of people. I think group training is going to distract you from your power zone. He said, I think you got to focus on becoming known as one of the top trainers in the world, one-on-one 12-week transformation trainers. Focus on your power zone. And I said, that makes a lot of sense to me. So after his was done, my journal's always out and opened up. I wrote down, become known around the world as one of the best one-on-one 12-week transformation trainers. Do not open a group training facility. And I wrote that down for 2 or 3 days in a row in the morning. Same thing. I will become known as one of the best 12-week transformation one trainers in the world. And then 4 days into that, it's goal setting 101. You focus on a goal, and what you need is it's always around you, but you won't notice it unless you focus on the goal because of the RAS, reticular activation system. It's goal setting 101. So 4 days after Brian Barry told me that, writing down the vision of what I needed to do, what I was going to do, not what I wanted to do, but what I was going to do. On ad, just on the side, Facebook ad, America's Next Great Trainer, looking for top trainers for a competition, $15,000 overall prize at the Arnold Classic. I looked at it. I watched the 2-minute video. I said, that's me. I emailed the guy, Rob Fletcher. I said, what do I need to do to enter? And I won the whole thing. So I would have never saw it if I didn't write it down.
See, isn't that funny how our, thoughts become things, right? You and I have always practiced to that. And that's why we do the vision board. I'm sort of curious about the listeners that are out there. You can comment if you're hearing the recording on this or if you're live with us. How many people journal, write things down? I mean, it is amazing how that manufactures reality for so many of us. And some folks are chiming in like Ben and folks, the best training sessions that are for with you. And I think, or I know it's because, I always tell you this too, that my best training sessions, the most effective training sessions have always been with you. And I think it's because I feel like you're all in, like you really understand and get what I'm about, when you're training me. So I just want to give that shout out for you as well. So
thank you, Dino. And and it was not a physique competition. Arnold wanted to go and needs to go towards anti-aging. He knows that's where the real money is. He is burnt out with the bodybuilding community and the half transparencies of the drugs and the bodybuilding magazines, supplement catalogs. He's burned out. He doesn't like it anymore. Right. So he hired the top 10 personal training certification companies in the world that certify, educate, and make personal trainers legal. And it was a very stringent test of our abilities to safely get people in great shape in a short amount of time. And, it was a year-long process. They whittled the 500 people that entered down to 50. They brought us for a 2-day to Arnold Sports Classic in March of 2015 and put a movie camera crew because they're going to do a documentary audience. And it was very nerve-wracking. And it was very confusing because they never had the contest before. So I simply went over in the corner and I heard one of my good business mentors in my mind and said, I might even text him because I like coach when I'm trying to navigate through a tough spot. And he said, Darin, you've done this thousands of times. Just act like someone walked in the door of your transformation station. You've had so many repetitions of that. And that's exactly what I did. I went back, I put my chin up, and I act like I was in my shop, doing what I've done thousands and thousands of times. That's why I won the contest, because of my confidence and my eloquence. I wouldn't have had that if I didn't go over in the corner and deep breathe, because no one knew what was going on. Everybody was uptight. And I let go of that uptightness, and I just did what I've always done for thousands of repetitions, and it was easy for me, and it flowed very easily. And that's how I won.
Isn't that amazing? You know, it's funny. It brings up, you know, when, I've had, you know, a lot of people go, oh my gosh, you know, you're so natural when you speak and things like that. It seems like you got it all together and you're never nervous. No, I'm scared shitless a lot of times when I'm going in front of a crowd. And so what's interesting, just like you said, you put yourself in that familiar zone. So one of the cool things is, I actually put my angel, I call it, actually Dr. Judith Wright coached me through this one time. I was doing one of the biggest audiences I had ever done. And she's like, well, you can put whoever you want in that audience. She goes, put all your angels out there. Putting my grandma out there. I'm putting my mom out there, you know, all the people that have brought me comfort. And I'm like, well, that's who's in the audience. And I can talk to them about anything at any time. And then I was just able to breathe, you know, and then, you know, next thing you know, I wasn't all uptight. I wasn't scared. There wasn't a lot of fear, but it's funny how that sort of, put that, you know, together. And Bill Haas is giving you a big shout out. You don't know him yet, but I'm sure he will work with you. He said, you guys I love this guy. You need to have him on again. So
Nice. Awesome.
Well, yeah. So, and I mentioned you in my book that's coming out. So I'm excited about that. So we only have a couple minutes left. So if you were going to give, you know, 3 pieces of advice to entrepreneurs, busy business people, most of us are out of balance, and you've helped tremendously. What are 3 things that you would leave us with for us to get back on track, get in balance, or to reset ourselves out there?
Man, I would say the easy answer to that question is get stuff out of technology, out of your head, and start a journal. Yeah. And every day that you wake up, just write the date. Some of us don't even know what year it is, let alone the day and the date. Just write down the day and the date. Write down 1 or 2 main things that you're going towards in the future, like you've already done them. Then you can use it as a to-do list. You can write it down as someone you got to call. But just most people have big ideas in the shower, but they're fleeting. So get stuff out of your head with that journal. At night, get off the technology for 5-10 minutes, turn the electricity off, light a candle, take a nice slow breath in. Nice, slow breath out. You can't think of too many things when you do a nice, slow, long breath. Do that 3 or 4 times and then say, I'm going to write in my journal versus being on social media and seeing what's going on. So a journal is definitely a big one. The thing that I've done with every client that I've ever trained since I left being a blue-collar worker in August 2000 is I tell them, stand up tall, say a goal out loud, and feel it in your heart like you already have it. And if you can't feel joy and expect love in your heart, back to a time in your life where you did, when your kid was born, when your dad gave you a BB gun. Just faith it till you make it. But say it out loud what you want. Feel it in your heart like you already have it. And see it in the movie screen in your mind. It's see it, feel it, say it. In the morning, a couple times, takes 5 minutes. And at night, which is more powerful because you're in the alpha wave state. It seeps in your subconscious. It's like auto-suggestion or self-hypnosis. Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, 101. Right. And whatever, Jim Fannin, the golf coach. So whatever you do in the alpha wave state, the 30 minutes before bed when the brain's in REM in a little bit, cleaning the files, is replayed 15 to 17 times more than any other time of the day. It's like auto-suggestion or self-hypnosis. It's so basic, 101. Many of my business guys say, oh, yeah, I've done that for business, but they've never done it for their workouts or their health and fitness. I've simply done that very simple thing with my clients and with myself. It works very, very well.
Yeah, and I would say one that I wrote down here, and just because, you know, this is what we coach and train on, and and I think it brought some aha moments to you as you were even talking on this interview, is don't be afraid to share your goals and your challenges with those that are close to you, that are not going to knock you down, but are going to support you to stay or to get up or to go to that next step up. And they're going to put you on their shoulders and carry you, onto the field in celebration together. Right.
100%. If I only got a couple more, the last thought that I have, I want to talk for another 2 hours, but like your friend said,
we'll have you back on.
I hope so. And so I love to study successful people and hear what their story is. So Lewis Howes is like an up-and-coming Tony Robbins kind of guy. Had a failed NFL career. He has got a great program called School of Greatness, Lewis Howes. So he's killing it. He's killing things, getting like sort of like Grant Cardone. He's getting like 10,000 butts in the seats once a year. He's crushing it on the surface. So Lewis Howes tells his story. It's like everybody else. And the time in his career where he started to tell people about his depression and being fully transparent and vulnerable, people are drawn to that. You said, share that with your close network, but everyone's different. I shared it on YouTube, and I was afraid to do it like 8 years ago when I had a nervous breakdown and I lost my family and my kids for the time being and my business. But as soon as I did, it felt good. And I got back 300 or 400% more contacts and emails. Guess what? Oh my God, you're not Superman. Me too. I went through that. I thought I was the only one. But as guys, we don't want to share that because, especially in fitness, I look like a pretty buff dude, and it's like, right. Woo. But it wasn't too hard for my personality to be transparent with people. It's going to be harder for some other people. Some other folks, depending on their personality, but it is so liberating, and there's a team around you, and it could be the start of a really brand new, being more effective and efficient at building a friends list that's going to support you more thoroughly.
Yeah, I agree with that. And so that's really social support. So there's social teaming, which is like, the 5 people and the team close to you that got you through it. Yep. And then there's a mix of social support. So I'm doing that with you now, as of February 13th, 2019, as we timestamp this episode. I've been in your 12-week transformation, about 5 weeks or so. And I've seen a change in myself, and I can honestly say that I needed that structure and really that change to help me with my transformation. And it's tough for me to put it on social media to say, here I am, the person, and I really just didn't like who I was. And it's tough to put that out there, but thank you and the support of not just you, but my family and other people around me that have just got me to that point. It's, that's what helps us through that next part of our own transformation. So I just want to thank you for that personally. And I feel that,
Well, absolutely. You're very welcome. I will do that for anybody, let alone a friend of 10 years that can help me in business. I do it for anybody. That's part of my success. And Dino, you're investing money. Yep. Dino's driving an hour away to my studio on Saturday morning at 5:30 a.m. So this doesn't come easy, but I think in our 40s and 50s, we hit a physical fitness longevity point where we're like, are my better days behind me? And if you feel like your better days are behind you, physically and health and energy and focus, that's not a good feeling. And it's either you step up and push through these challenges and take control and not just doctor and take a pill to overcome the pain.
Yeah.
Or, and we need help with that a lot of times. And my heart goes out to people that maybe don't realize they have the time to slow down. I believe the body has an unbelievable, remarkable ability to regenerate new, healthy, even maybe disease-free cells when you change what you put in your mind, your mouth, and the way you move. And it's not as difficult and confusing as people think. I love to help people navigate through that. It's simple. It's time efficient. I can set up a plan for anybody, whether they hire me or not, to get a little bit of momentum to go in the right direction of feeling like their best days are in front of them.
Yeah, right on. And if people want to check out that, 12-week transformation program, where should they go, Darin?
I would say my first name is Darin, Darin. Send me an email. We'll touch base one-on-one at fatlosslifestyle.com.
Oh, they can email you directly then. How about that? You guys get direct support. And I've got to tell you firsthand, I used to be the hardest working bulldog in the gym with the least results. I thought if I went in there and crushed it and lift everything in the gym, and I'd wind up with injuries and I'd wind up off track, and I just wasn't part of a system. So I can attest that this is really a great system, and got 24 pounds off and while building muscle and about 4.5 to 5 inches to prove it. So we'll find out this Saturday as I weigh in. So
thanks, Dino. We hold them accountable with the tape measure around the tummy, which is exciting now, but at first it's not. And another really big point, Dino, is this, but I want to make sure listeners know that you don't need to go to the gym to do this program. 75-year-old sedentary person, I can give them a great program that is a great start and help them evolve towards doing resistant bands and stuff like that. Anybody can do this. Lighter weights, nice and slow and controlled, time and attention, mind-muscle connection. Everyone can do this program. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, listen, man, thanks for your energy and your inspiration. I'm going to bring Kate and Jackson back on. I want to hear what they got out of this lesson. And, it's always, we have a lot of people that are chiming in and jumping in. So, Kate, what did you get out of, you've known Darin, personally because you're working with him on the influencer team. But what did you get out of this that maybe was a surprise or you didn't know?
Well, there are parts of his story that I don't necessarily know, but one of the things that I just have always loved about Darin and respected about him from the beginning is that he's so vulnerable. And what we said is that a lot of times we don't see these men, specifically fitness trainers. I think you see a lot of women who are open about their vulnerability, but he's so open about it with his struggles, with his health, with his life, with his relationship, with being a single dad. He's always been open with me from the beginning. And so it's always resonated with me that he's a good person that cares about you and expects you to care about him back. So I loved hearing about it, and I always love working with him.
Oh, geez, Kate, I got to slide you a virtual $20 bill. Here you go.
Jackson, what about you?
So I work with Darin as well on, weekly basis, and still every week. I mean, it's not that it was anything new. I mean, I definitely learned new things, but I think the biggest thing that resonated with me is how inspirational you are to everyone, even the people that are doubting themselves on their own abilities. The people, I can't, I wish we had a counter sitting there counting how many times you said, everyone can do this, everyone. And, everyone is it's a large amount of people. So, there's a lot of people on this planet, and, if everyone can do it, and I love his energy and the way that you inspire people to want more for themselves. Yeah. So I think that was my biggest thing, is just, the inspirational part of it. So. Yeah.
Thank you, Action Jackson. And I firmly do believe it's true at any age, a little easier in the 20s and 30s. I see people that give up in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, but if they can reframe it and get a simple program, anybody can get excited about improving their money, career, health, fitness, longevity, and their relationships. They can improve anything. It's all life's a mind game. You just got to have a coach to reframe it the correct way.
Amen, brother. Amen. And I just want to say you're really on target with your assignments. So there's a hint to those clients out there that are late with their assignments. It's on time. So nice job out there. Well, listen, everybody loved it. And Jimmy Z gives a big shout out here. And then Jackson, we have a couple of engagement winners out there. You want to give a shout out to those two people?
Yeah, so we have 2 engagement winners this week. It's the first one, Bill Haas, is on our Zoom platform, so he's watching on Zoom, and then Ben Quigley, who's watching on our Facebook Live right now. So, thank you to you guys, and we will get you guys your Starbucks gift cards later today. So
yeah, now remember, there's rules behind that, Darin. So these people actually have to now take someone for coffee and share what they learned from your episode today. So they basically, we ask that you pass it on, and we don't want to just have the people that win the Starbucks gift card, but we want to encourage each and every one of you as thought leaders and business influencers in your community to pass it on. So teach your family, teach your children, teach colleagues, teach those that you're sitting across from, hey, you know what? I listened to this podcast today, The Influence Factory, and I really was inspired by Darin Steen. And I'm going to start journaling again and just have an active conversation as you're sort of learning and growing yourself. So that's our big ask for you. And as long as everybody does it, and Bill Haas says, be real. So there you go. I love it. All right. Thanks again, Darin. We appreciate you. And from all of us here at the Influence Factory, we will see you online developing and building your influence every day. Take care.
Carson Cade, Action Jackson. Woo woo.
Thank you for listening to the Influence Factory podcast. We welcome feedback and suggestions. You can provide these by visiting our website at www.myinfluencefactory.com. And if you are interested in Social Jack's 90 Days to Influence program, you can simply go to 90daystobusinessinfluence.com and simply ask for the next steps. While our program airs regularly on Zoom webcasts and Facebook Live on Wednesdays at noon Central, we invite you to download episodes on your favorite channel: YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spreaker, SoundCloud, and who knows where else in the future. We will also provide occasional on-location live streams with special guests that we will announce in our community Facebook group, Business Influencer Alliance, as well as on all Social Jack channels. Our mission is to help you build your digital business influence with this podcast, as well as inspire, educate, and entertain those who are hungry to collaborate in a cool place with cool business professionals just like you.